Arawa Hospital restored to former status. More relief supplies to quake-affected areas. And more gold for PNG Weightlifters.
This is National EMTV News with Godwin Eki.
Good evening. Thank you for joining me for Saturday's news. People of Bougainville now have access to improved health services following the opening of the upgraded Arawa Hospital. The hospital was restored to its former status with combined support from the ABG and Australian government. It was officially opened yesterday by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, President of the Autonomous Region of Bougainville John Momis, and Australian High Commissioner to PNG Bruce Davies.
The people of Bougainville had good reason to celebrate yesterday. Improved health services and the restoration of what was once considered the best hospital in the country.
So we said now we've been brought up on Tablong right? Australian government, to
From 2015 to 2018, the Australian government committed to a 33 million kina upgrade of the then Arawa Health Centre to a district hospital.
As an external player, as an external partner, we always want to do things in strong partnership and within the priorities set by the government of Papua New Guinea and of Bougainville. So it's a great honour to be here today to participate in this short opening ceremony for the new hospital. I hope it is well utilised.
Working in partnership, the autonomous Bougainville government purchased equipment for the hospital at a value of 4 million kina. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill reiterated the importance of partnerships between the government and development partners, especially for restoration of infrastructure like the Arawa Hospital that was destroyed during the Bougainville crisis.
We begin a restoration exercise and we know one play is no got one man or government by got one miracle or one time. The budget premium of some country and we limited lots of the problem. Also, there's a kind of partnership, one time all foreign government, also Australian government, or the development partnership, one time government, you mean all ABG, and you mean making sure building infrastructure.
A range of improved facilities were included in the upgrade, including a labour ward, surgical facilities, a general medical wing and multipurpose wing with 24 new ward beds, nurse stations, pharmacy dispensary and a biomed lab. An on-site family support centre for survivors of family and sexual violence was also included. Since the hospital opened to the public in 2017, the delivery of health services to Bougainville people is said to have doubled. Melissa Gaviro, National EMTV News.
A 69-year-old grandfather was charged with incest and sexually penetrating of his granddaughter. The accused, Ruben Nawi from Likum village in Manus, Pobuma LLG, was alleged to have sexually penetrated his granddaughter while taking care of her. Manus Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector David Yapu said the victim is 10-year-old and is an elementary student at a school in Loringau. This is the second incest case involving a minor to be reported to the Manus police in just 1 week. Meanwhile, PPC Yapu is urging family members to report such cases to police and not the village court. Manu Yama, the son of Medang Governor Peter Yama, has pleaded not guilty to the 10 charges laid against him on Thursday when he appeared before the Medang District Court. The court removed 2 charges from the initial 12 because the first charge was a duplicate and the other charge was not specified. The court has revoked the 4,000 kina police bail on Monday and he will be remanded in custody. He will next appear in court on the 20th of July.
The court had that Manu Yama was initially charged with 12 charges. However, the court removed 2 charges and was only charged on 10 charges. Among others, he was charged for being under the influence of alcohol and in possession of a firearm, had in his possession an unlicensed factory pistol. He also had 7 by 9mm bullets. He did, without reasonable excuse, carry firearm exposed to public at Biliau Road within the boundaries of Madang town. The court ruled that the law was universally applicable and everyone comes under the protection of the law. The allegations made were that the defendant had arrived with the pistol at the Jomba police station, adding such behavior is very serious. The court added that everyone must respect the law and police are here to maintain law and order in Madang. Thus, anyone who breaks the law will be treated as any other offender. On Monday, Madang settlers at Biliau Road in Madang demanded police to arrest the governor's son for firing a gun in the community. Biliau Road settlers say Manu Yama went into the settlement on Sunday and threatened the community. Community leaders say his actions were in retaliation over the death of his younger brother a month ago.
Come where me let you as a police. Let you as a police. Let me go what you say. You say that Pakistan will name open fire now. People upon you on the police. And come on name can go to it. So that past him. Same time was from Ghana come say them open fire pass.
I'm out on the main road.
I'm saying on the main road.
The government carry come here to threaten more people from me. They're lucky to get away. Me serious na me talk. Suppose only fight, let them fight. Fight is not a
Masa Luis, National EMTV News, Madang.
More disaster relief supplies are being donated by foreign missions and non-government organizations towards earthquake-affected communities in the Highlands region. Yesterday, the South Korean Embassy in Port Moresby donated food supplies including water tanks and purifiers. Dr. Bill Hamblin, who is in charge of the Emergency and Disaster Coordination Committee, thanked the Korean government for their support during PNG's time of need.
The relief supplies, valued over 500,000 kina, will be shipped into the highlands in the coming weeks. The Korean Embassy says it is happy to assist communities affected by natural disasters in Papua New Guinea.
Then this is a small start, but I hope it can bring a big result. And then in the past, we Koreans also have been the respondent country, and then we will help a lot from international community. And now it's our turn to return our help to those friends in Papua New Guinea.
In February, thousands of people in 7 provinces in the highlands and southern regions were left homeless after their homes, food gardens and water sources were destroyed by a 7.6 magnitude earthquake. 4 months after the earthquake, and the people are slowly rebuilding their lives. But essential items like food and clean water are still lacking in some areas, and the donation of water tanks by the Korean Embassy is seen as a great assistance.
Wholeheartedly thank them for the effort that they've put in, and without them the scale of the disaster would have been much worse.
Meanwhile, in Southern Highlands, the hospital has run short of vaccines following the ransacking of vaccine supplies during the Mendi riot. And Dr. Ambil says the government is working with UNICEF to restore medical supplies.
The people who do those sorts of acts don't belong in our society. They belong behind bars. So I hope to see some of them there shortly.
Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
This is National EMTV News. We go for our first break now, but stay tuned. We'll have plenty of more of today's news when we come back. Welcome back to the news. The Cocoa Board of Papua New Guinea has launched its sister company, the PNG Agriculture Company. Over 1,000 cocoa farmers came from all over East New Britain to witness the occasion. The company is an initiative of the PNG Cocoa Board with funding support from the Australian government. It was introduced after realizing that cocoa farmers aren't completely involved in the cocoa value chain. It seemed to involve farmers in planting, harvesting, processing and exporting their own produce. Over 200 pioneer farmers were also presented with share certificate that marked the start of business. The PNG Cocoa Board CEO Boto Gaupu says they want to break the monotonous market once was dominated by a middleman who always wants a greater share of profit. Vice Agriculture Minister Henry Yama gave assurance that the national government will support such initiative with a down-up approach and locally owned. The City Pharmacy Limited Group has signed a partnership with Total in the reopening of a new Total service station at Arima in the nation's capital. CPL Group Managing Director Mahesh Patel said this is a great partnership as there is a lot to learn from both sides. Now, individuals living at the Arima area will have a pharmacy, fuel station and a great shopping experience.
CPL Group has signed a partnership with Total, the largest fuel operators in the world. The partnership will give CPL Group the chance to give their customers a new shopping experience. CPL Group Managing Director mentioned that within the Arima area, there is no pharmacy, which the group will now provide.
So we're actually looking at setting up pharmacies, convenience store and a cafe within the service station. So it encourages people to actually get out of their cars, come out, shop.
This is a partnership that CPL hopes to duplicate across neighborhoods. With the demographics of the city changing, traffic congestion is becoming a big problem.
So people prefer to shop in the local neighborhood. And what we're doing is actually taking our shopping experience to the neighborhood.
Patel says there is a lot to learn between both parties when it comes to retailing and fuel operations. But all in all, customers at Arima will greatly benefit.
The plan wasn't to open a pharmacy. Then we thought, well, hang on. There's an opportunity to give the service to the people there. So we're remodeling inside. So hopefully in the next couple of months. But the operation should be open in the next week or so.
Lilian Superakinea, National EMTV News.
Land has been identified to build a court facility for the Gerhu Urban Village Court. But Gerhu Urban Court officials say no construction has started since a group of engineers surveyed the land in 2017.
For over 6 years, court officials at the Gerhu Urban Village Court have been hearing cases from under the shade of a tree. In August 2017, following a newspaper report on the challenges and lack of court facilities available at Gerhu, the National Capital District Commission proposed to build a court facility. The identified land was surveyed, but work is yet to commence.
We're waiting for the funds from Mekaren when they're coming to build a house, 2 houses. That's what we are expecting. So still we staying in outside to operation running the village court.
The village courts were established to deal with minor cases at the community level. In Port Moresby, there are over 25 village courts in the 3 electorates. But despite having similar powers to that of the committal and district courts, most village courts in Port Moresby lack proper court facilities.
Is purposely for to bring peace between both parties. We don't want people to go away. One side to be upset. We want both parties to go in peace to their communities.
In 2016, Chief Justice Salamo Injia, when visiting court facilities in Berena in the Central Province, emphasized the importance of having a proper courtroom to hear cases, even at the village court level. Salamo said previously there were court facilities available to court officials, but the lack of maintenance over the years has resulted in the closure of many facilities. The NCDC Social Services Division is responsible for the running of village courts in NCD, and they are expected to make a response to this next week. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
This is Saturday's news. We'll take a break now, but we'll be back with more from around the country and what's making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The City Pharmacy Limited Foundation is now partnering with local women in the floriculture industry to support and promote the fresh flower business. Although our local farmers are producing fresh flowers, there is no extensive market to sell their produce. CPL has now provided a platform to help them showcase their fresh flower products.
Yesterday, CPL Group announced their support to providing a platform for local florists in the fresh flower business.
We look forward to other florists coming into our shops, and maybe we could expand it to other shops also, so that we have everyone displaying their flowers at the same time and not.
In order to promote and support the work of local florists, CPL has made arrangements with Rowena Solian to showcase and sell her products at the Stop and Shop supermarket at Central Waigani. She has over 15 years of experience in the industry and has received extensive training in Fiji and Australia to develop her skills.
I've got a cut flower farm 52 kilometers outside the NCD, and it's along the Hiritano Highway, where I have rich fertile soil, and that is where I grow a large variety of cut flowers, heliconias and gingers.
Rowena aims to provide a consistent supply of flowers to clients in government, private sectors and individuals.
If you want us to coordinate, your wedding bridesmaids color, we can always coordinate the flowers with your wedding setting. Those are some of the things we do.
There's an opportunity to do business. And these guys...
CPL Group Managing Director Mahesh Patel said local farmers put a lot of effort into producing fresh flowers. However, there is no extensive market.
And giving the opportunity to the girls to say, hey, listen, come out and sell as much flowers as you can. And this is a pilot. And hopefully, as we expand, we'll get other ladies to come out and put flowers in other shops as well.
CPL continues to support local growers.
So, not only the flower side, we also support the lot of agriculture side. We are also supporting a lot of farmers, thousands and hundreds of farmers buying fresh produce from them. This is what we've been doing. And
Lilian Superakinea, National MTV News.
Over 100 books on various topics on Malaysia's economy, geography and history were donated to Kop Kop College in Port Moresby. The donation, made by Malaysian High Commission in Papua New Guinea, is aimed at improving students' understanding of Malaysia as a country. The High Commission's representative Mandi Fan Zulkurnain, when presenting the books, said knowledge will move the country forward and encourage students to read. Kop Kop College librarians Kinibo Ura and Margaret Maha received the books on behalf of the students. Turning overseas now, Syrians who are trying to escape a fierce government offensive are heading south towards the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights. And there they find a tent city and very little help. CNN's obtained video images of one of the tents that was sprung up right next to the frontier with Israel. Here's a report on the Israeli side of the war.
The latest wave of human suffering in Syria. Shove what they can, a life's worth of possessions crammed into a truck. Kilometers away, the Syrian regime bombards the Daraa region in the country's southwest corner. The familiar black smoke of the civil war. More buildings, more towns and villages reduced to rubble. Tens of thousands have fled, most towards Jordan, others to the frontier separating Syria from the Israel-occupied Golan Heights. A new life on the run, family in tow, without electricity or clean running water.
We fled because of the indiscriminate bombings that never stop. Every day there is a massacre in Nawa. The situation is so terrible. We've been here for a week and we have seen zero help, no water, no food. It's a catastrophic situation.
We have no shelter from the sun or the cold. We can't go back and get anything because of the heavy bombing. Where are we supposed to go? There are no tents here. There is nothing here, and we have been like this for a year. Where are we supposed to go? Do we go back to the bombing and shelling?
On the high ground, Israel watches the new arrivals, thousands so far, gathering at the fence. Thursday night, an Israeli army convoy opened the wire and delivered tents, food, medical supplies, and clothing. Over several years, Israel has treated thousands of injured Syrians. But the Assad regime's latest offensive creates a new crisis. And Israel is adamant it's not going to open the gates and let refugees in. Crossing on foot would be dangerous too. Leftover mines span this frontier. Standing here on this side of the fence, we're relatively safe, although we have heard some gunshots. But just a couple hundred meters down the road, for those Syrians fleeing that fighting, their future is uncertain. Tonight, the war will be in the distance. They'll get some sleep they've lacked for days. But who knows what tomorrow will bring.
The last surviving member of the BG trio, Barry Gibb, has been knighted after a ceremony at the Buckingham Palace.
The former Bee Gees frontman, who's now 71 years old, said he hoped his late brothers Robin and Morris were proud of him.
Without them, I wouldn't be here today. We spent our entire lives making music that we enjoyed. And I think that that's something we shared beyond, you know, we all have two different lives. We have the love of the music, and we all have our own families.
The Bee Gees were a hugely successful commercial group with some of the biggest songs in the 70s disco era.
As a necktie becomes more of a rarity in the workplace, colorful socks are quickly filling the void for self-expression. Bold socks are being business, and one young man in the US is taking the trend to the next level, and he's managed to capture the attention of a few big names along the way.
On Long Island, John Cronin is building a sock business with his dad.
I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
There's a sock for you here.
Right.
The 22-year-old with Down syndrome handles all sorts of jobs.
Is this a new design?
A new design.
You drew this?
I drew this one.
Which leaves his father, Mark, proud but not surprised.
It's why you have such a following.
He knew Down syndrome didn't mean limits others might assume it would.
He came to me and said, "Dad, I want to go into business with you."
So 18 months ago, John's Crazy Socks was born. Good?
All right, I'm getting in my car.
At $2.2 million in revenue so far, they're doing well. With 16 of 35 jobs they created, held down by differently abled workers, they're also doing good.
They're excited to be here. They have great skills and a great spirit.
Certain socks are linked to certain charities. Each pair sold generates a donation, $100,000 and counting.
Hey, everyone.
While YouTube and social media have helped spread the word, their most famous customer put them on the map.
Who's that letter from?
That's from George Bush.
From George Bush.
The president who signed the Americans with Disabilities Act into law.
On World Down Syndrome Day, he wore John's Down Syndrome superhero socks and sent out a tweet of him wearing them and thanking his friend John Cronin.
That was good for business. But when the 41st president wore a pair of John's Crazy Socks to pay tribute to Barbara Bush's literacy campaigns at her funeral, well, that was good for the soul.
It makes me feel good. Every day make me happy.
We've learned the more we do for others, the better off we are.
While the Cronins see money in warming feet,
can you sing?
Yeah.
About to corner the market on warming hearts along the way.
Let's not push Christmas.
This is National MTV News. We'll take a look at sports after these messages. See you then for Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports, and we begin with football. 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia now narrowed down to top 16 teams after the elimination round. Around 200 football enthusiasts queued at Pacific Racing to bet on their favorite teams before the first match at midnight tonight. The first match in Group 1 is between France and Argentina, followed by Portugal against Uruguay at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Come Monday, Spain will take on the host, Russia, while Croatia takes on Denmark. On Tuesday, favourites Brazil will play Mexico and Belgium takes on Japan. The final match will finish next Wednesday, where Sweden will play against Switzerland, while Colombia goes up against England. Punters at Pacific Racing and Sports Betting Shop are hoping FIFA World Cup 2018 will come with a bit of a luck and a win-win for both the teams and the supporters. Paradise Industries Limited has come on board to support Capital Rugby Union with 56,000 kina and to be a major sponsor to Capital Rugby Union events. Capital Rugby Union President Corey Chen says the sponsorship will go towards lifting the standards and level of competition, as well as help raise future representatives.
From a Capital Rugby Union perspective, there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of events that have happened over the last, not just the last couple of months, but probably the last 2 years. Okay, both from our own competition level, but also at a national level. Okay, and I think that's, those types of events have really caused a lot of impact on the game. Okay, but I think today marks, from our perspective, okay, to step in the right direction, okay, of getting the confidence from the corporate business houses, okay, to come back and start supporting the game of rugby union.
He says with the support now at hand, Capital Rugby Union will do its best to bring the game and its players to a whole new level, especially with the new management in place.
Okay, so our goal from Capital Rugby Union is to build a real healthy, vibrant, okay, and strong culture to support the game of rugby union, but also to try and develop and build a pathway for our players, so that they can go into representative levels through playing in our competition. Okay, and I think when you look at this year's the games so far that have been played, okay, there's definitely a lot of competition. We've got 7 teams out of 8 that are still pushing for a top 4 finish.
He thanked the Pacific Industries for their ongoing support as part of their social and community obligation.
This sponsorship for us was not really something that we decided to engage because of a benefit that we really saw in terms of marketing or, building our brands. I think for me, it was more about giving back to things that I thought would have a positive impact, okay, on our communities. And that's why I touched on the social aspect of it, because I love the principles that rugby teaches, okay, our children. And for me, education is what we need, education and jobs for our economy. And it starts at home, not just academic education, but social education about the things that should be acceptable in our society.
Meanwhile, Capital Rugby Union competition started its round 11 matches today, with 3 more weeks to go before the grand final round. President Corey says the last 3 weeks will be crucial for the top 8 teams, hoping to make the finals. To water sports, the PNG Canoe Association, along with Port Moresby Outrigger Canoe Club, held its open water sprint events today at the Lancron Navy Base in Port Moresby. Members from various canoe clubs in National Capital and the Central Province turn out in numbers to participate. The men's and women's division consists of 3 heats contested in 500 metres and 1500 metre race course. Port Moresby Outrigger Canoe Association President Zini Penny said the competition is all in preparation for national titles later in the year.
Together about 16 teams, men's and women's, registered to compete today. We'll have continuous monthly regattas up until September, which is when national titles will be held in Port Moresby over the September long weekend, and that's when selections will be done for Team PNG for Pacific Games in 2019.
And you can find out more on the race and 2015 gold medalist and Team PNG VAR captain Zina Penny's aspirations on Sports Scene Monday at 8 p.m. And we'll take a break now. We'll be back with National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To weightlifting first, and PNG Weightlifters Stephen Curry and Moria Baru, along with sisters Dika and Telma Toa, lifted gold once more at the Oceania Championships in New Caledonia. Stephen Curry, for one, seemed to have maintained his form from the Commonwealth Games, making this the second gold for this year. And Commonwealth Games silver medalist Moria Baru and Dika Toa outdid their Commonwealth Games performance, taking gold, while younger Toa sister Telma came out far from a Commonwealth Games fifth place finish, scooping gold as well. More than 30 teams within the Momase region are in Medang for the week-long Momase Regional Besta qualifiers that will kick off next Monday. Chairman of the local organizing committee, Siegfried Beschel, says they're expecting only 32 teams for men's, but the number has increased to 40 after more teams have shown interest to participate in the tournament.
Medang Province will play host to the Momase Regional Besta qualifier that will be played at Laiwaden Oval starting on the 2nd of July. The tournament has attracted about 34 men's team and 8 women's teams so far. The men's teams have 8 pools, and while the women's teams will have 2 pools.
We have the assembly or the official opening happening on Monday. Assemble at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then games will kick off around 10. Normal rounds will continue for about 3 to 4 days, and then we'll go into elimination, and finals will happen on the Saturday the 7th of July, and then that's it, we'll close off with the grand final and presentation.
Medang Football Club has welcomed the tournament, as it is through this championship that talented players will be selected to partake in national games, both locally and internationally. The Medang provincial government has assisted the tournament with a 100,000 kina, while other businesses have also thrown in their support to assist the local organizing committee during the games.
And from that 100,000 kina, the executive have given half of that money, 50,000, to LOC to host. We also have support from Medang FC because they're using this tournament for selection trials. And we have Divinewood, Medang Tech, TUSPUB, MULLG, Modelon Hospital, Sepas, Besta, PNGFA, More Stationery, and Sigma Construction.
Martha Lewis, National EMTV Sports, Medang.
Sport fans in Christchurch are getting closer to farewelling their temporary and often freezing stadium in Eddington. With funding for the multi-use arena fast-tracked after strong messages from the public and players, the Crusaders are pretty happy with the decision.
They've been out in the cold, but now Canterbury players and fans are getting closer to having a new indoor home.
This project was always going to have its day. It was never the city's first priority, and we always acknowledged that. But at some point, Christchurch needed to deal with the stadium.
Council's decision to bring forward funding for the multi-purpose arena by 2 years being applauded by those who look set to be its cornerstone tenants.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's great for the whole community down there. It's, as you say, it's a rugby stadium, but it's more than that. It's for Christchurch community, it's going to be great.
The arena renewing hope that Christchurch won't again be snubbed for All Blacks tests and major crowd pullers.
The thing that the roof does is it makes it genuinely multi-use, and so that concerts can plan with certainty, and trade shows and exhibitions and meetings and all sorts of community gatherings.
So while the temporary stadium symbolises a lack of progress, those who originally slammed the delays can start looking to the future.
I hope it helps. New voices and prominent people saying things get attention, and that's great.
It's not going to be in my lifetime playing, but awesome to take my kids along to concerts and rugby.
So a stake in the ground's getting closer as the focus turns to the positives the new arena will bring, rather than focusing on the shortcomings of the current one.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details when we return. This is National MTV News.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Weather forecast for afternoon and tonight: Southern region, Port Moresby cloudy at times, Daru cloudy and windy, Kerma cloudy periods, Alatau cloudy periods with a few showers, Popondetta cloudy periods. In the Mamase region, Ley cloudy periods, Madang fine, Wewek rain showers with possible thunderstorms, and Vanimo rain showers. The New Guinea Islands, Lorengau and Kevieng, rain showers with possible thunderstorms. Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe fine. Buka, few showers tonight. The Highlands region, all centres, few showers tonight with early morning fog developing. Strong wind warnings, renewal current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Yule Island, to Hood Point to Samurai waters of Milne Bay Islands, Samurai to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, through VTS Dampier Strait to CRC and Long Island, waters of West New Britain including Coral, Solomon and Bismarck Seas. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Islands, to Kerma to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samurai Island, to waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, to waters of Samurai Island, to Cape Vogel, to Finchafen, waters of Finchafen through VTS Dampier Straits, to CRC Islands, to Long Island, to Madang, to Bogia, waters of West New Britain. Seas 2 to 3 meters. Waters of Bogia to Wewek to Aitape, to Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands. Waters of East New Britain to New Island and Bougainville. Seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. To ocean forecast for PNG areas: Coral seas, seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots with gusts to 48 knots. Solomon seas, seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots with isolated showers. Bismarck seas, seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots with isolated showers and thunderstorms. Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with east to southeast winds 10 to 20 knots with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Before we go, recapping our main stories again for tonight. And that's it for National MTV News. Arawa Hospital upgrade, more relief supplies, and gold for PNG. And that's been the latest news, sports and weather. Until next time, pleasant viewing. Good night.